Hello, and thank you for joining me. This is What I've Been Thinking with Marcus Cage, and I am your host, Marcus Cage. Uh, in this video, I want to talk about the stimulus package, which people are claiming to be a $2 trillion stimulus package. I've heard numbers much larger. I've heard from the low side, this 2 trillion all the way up to 30 trillion. I know for a fact that it's at least closer to 6 trillion, the actual number. I want to speak about that. I want to speak about I guess Bernie's response. I don't expect a whole lot out of everybody in Congress, so that's the reason why I don't talk about everybody in Congress. People who I expect to do better, I address those people. The people who I expect to do what they're doing, those people I ignore. So in this one, I am going to speak about, well, I don't expect this person to do much, but I'm going to speak about 3 people in particular for this, whole, let's just call it a bailout, Wall Street bailout, because that's basically what it is. I guess I'll give a warning on this one. This one really aggravates me and makes me angry. And though I look like I am very calm, I guess, somewhat, I'm actually pretty upset about this, and I just want to give you a warning right now. This one, I'm taking my little gag off that I normally keep off for most segments. I try my best to try to pride myself on not being too much of a potty mouth or anything like that. But in real life, I am a little bit more of a potty mouth than I am on camera. And for this one, I have to go unfiltered, and you guys are just going to hear it direct. So those of you guys who are a little bit more sensitive to language issues, you might want to tune out for this one. Those of you guys who will be able to deal with that and don't have a problem with that and will just appreciate seeing, I guess, how I truly feel about it, then I guess stick around and enjoy it. I feel like I've been kind of holding back on how I truly feel on a lot of these things, so I'm going to do more of these completely unfiltered clips. So it's just a heads up and warning, and I guess apologies to those of you guys who it offends, but if you're not mad about this stuff, then you're not paying attention. Sorry, I don't know any other way to say it. Part of why I started this channel in the first place is I did want to have these conversations and be able to engage and, I guess, educate people who aren't educated on certain things, or maybe just have dialogue with people who are abreast on the issues. But this is also part of my intention was this was going to be an avenue where I can let out some of my actual feelings. And right now I have a lot of anger built up because of these issues, so you guys are just going to hear that version of it. Without further ado, hope you enjoy. Please like, please subscribe, and if you really enjoy it, share and comment. Please tap the bell also. Thank you. Hope you enjoy. Hello, and thank you for joining me. In this one, we're talking about the $2 trillion stimulus or the new Wall Street bailout. Um, on this one, I told you guys a little bit of warning that I'm pretty aggravated, and so you guys are going to hear how I really think about this. Um, right now, the line number that they're saying is 2 trillion. I'm trying to remember his name, Larry Kudlow, I believe, actually came out and said 4 trillion himself out of his own mouth. The 2 trillion is the amount that's there. That's gone. 2 trillion gone away straight mostly to the wealthy. That 4.5 trillion portion, that part is the reason why they're getting away with calling it 2 trillion, because that part hasn't been necessarily added. That 500 billion slush fund that's in there, that is how they get to that. They have the Steve Mnuchin has the ability to overextend that 10 times over. So that 10 times over is how we get up to that 4.6 trillion number. So total, that's over 6 trillion. That's definitely going to be used, because make no mistake, there's no way Steve Mnuchin, Mr. One West Bank out there stealing houses in California, is not going to leverage this for his crony buddies. There's no way. So just like the Wall Street bailout, which I think it was something like 1 point something trillion back in 2007, 2008. Well, we come to find out later on that was actually about 6 trillion. 6 trillion that was spent. We just dropped about 6 trillion, easily over 6 trillion right now. Now, I've heard people, what was his name? Matt Stoller. I've heard him talk about that it's much higher. Dylan Ratigan, who used to be with MSNBC and who was a big time stock guy, he said, out the back door total, this is probably going to be a lot closer to somewhere around 15 trillion. 15 trillion. Now, you're going to have the news media who have sat there this whole entire frickin' primary, and they have talked about how Bernie Sanders' plans are unreasonable, that you can't pay for it. But yet, as soon as we get into a problem, we can just toss out trillions like it's nothing. And then here's the thing. They're not even in a bind yet. We're literally talking about the wealthiest countries. I mean, not countries, the wealthiest companies that we have in not only US, I'm talking about the UK, I'm talking about all of our Western first world nations. The wealthiest. Boeing's arrogant ass even had the nerve to say, if there's stipulations on it, I don't even want the money. Well, my mindset is, well, Boeing, you just fucked it up for everybody, because you're not going to get the money in anybody who's even close to in your category. I want to open up your books. That's what I'm going to do to Boeing. That's what I would do to any of these companies. You want to ask for taxpayer money. You just got 1 trillion about a year and a half ago. 1.5 trillion dollars. And you know what you did with that? You went in stock buybacks so you guys can make yourself more money, though you're not wealthy enough. But yet, what you want to tell the American people is, oh, well, I know you only make 20, 30,000 a year. Well, I'm sorry, you should have budgeted better. Well, you should have set some money aside. Well, you should have. Well, I don't know why your generation doesn't save. One thing is, every damn thing in my life is more expensive now than it's ever been. So when I listen to a lot of these older people who say some of this dumbass stuff about, well, you need to budget more and do this and do this. For one, we're walking into an economy way different than most of you guys ever saw. Unless you grew up in the Great Depression, which I don't think nobody listening to my voice grew up in the Great Depression. Economically, there's never been a time like this for most of the people walking around. We literally have a pandemic, and you hear people like Joe Biden talking about the Spanish flu. For one, the population in the nation at that time was roughly about 100 million people. 100 million people. And they did not have the ability to travel the way they do now. Also, things were not shipped all over the country back and forth, like, in the blink of an eye. That wasn't going on. So studying the Spanish flu in 1918 is just dumb and idiotic. And that's what I hear about Joe Biden's team. They're studying the Spanish flu. Why? There's nothing that you could get from that that's going to teach you how to handle this right now. And the fact that this man is looking at that should tell you how much of an idiot that he is and how dumb his whole damn crew is around him. Though many people early on decided to listen to the media, while the media was screaming at Bernie also about how are you going to pay for this? How are you going to pay for that? How are you going to pay for this? How are you going to pay for that? I got into so many conversations with people online who would ask me those very questions. And now we're in an economic downturn. And what are we doing? We're throwing out all that money. See, the thing is, what people don't understand is we have the money to do every damn thing we need to do. Everything. It's about priorities. And what a lot of you guys out there are, maybe not the people who are directly listening to me, but a lot of the population has bought into the we don't deserve shit mentality. This government is our government. Our government. This is not government for the billionaires. This is not the point of it. The moment that we start checking out and we start letting this kind of bullshit fly is why we're in the situations we're in now. You think this is going to get better? I mean, we haven't gotten control of this pandemic and they're tossing all this money out here. What do you think is going to happen? Does anybody listening to my voice really think that the economy is going to get any fucking better anytime soon? It's not going to get any better until people can go back to work. People can't go back to work until we get control of the pandemic. Part of my anger and frustration, I get it. The media, they don't give two shits about how this goes down. But those of you out there who still even listen to these people with any bit of credibility, the fact that you're not out there writing phone calls to your representative to say, what the hell was that? Yes, oh, cool. You got us some $1,200 or whatever. But no, what the hell was that bullshit? And then I hear people say, you know what? But we'll get $1,200. For one, everybody's not going to get it. For two, it's bracketed on pay scale. So the less you make, the less money you'll get, regardless of how much you need. But they have no problem just, here you go, make it rain on the billionaires. I have no problem with that. I sit there and I look online and I listen to people, these vote blue no matter who, or say they're progressive or whatever, that want to pat Nancy Pelosi on the back and call her a master legislator. She's not a master legislator at all. She's a crook. Plain and simple. The woman is a crook. Chuck Schumer's a crook. Steny Hoyer's a crook. Mitch McConnell's a crook. You can go down the list. Most of them, they're crooks. You got a couple who are spineless, You got a couple who will allow themselves to be put into a box and just scream once they're in the box. None of those things are acceptable. And I'll start off with Bernie first. Those of you guys who are familiar with my channel know that I'm a Bernie supporter, proud Bernie supporter. I'm not with 100% of everything he does. I wish that, for instance, I wish Bernie would push for reparations. He's not going to do that, but that's not going to make me go against him. He has plenty of policies that are going to, that if he was able to get even half of his legislation in, it would dramatically affect me positively, dramatically improve my life and the lives of many people that I know. That's why I support him. But in consistency, I will call out anybody that I disagree with. I don't care if it's my own mother. If I have to, I'll call you out. Now, it's going to be nice, Mom, if you're listening. But the truth is the truth. Now, did Bernie get up there and scream and holler when they wanted to make the deal even worse than the little bit that he argued for? Yeah, he got out there. He said some things. He grandstanded it. But the thing about it is, I get it. Bernie felt like he used a lot of political capital. And I've heard plenty of people in those circles in Washington talk about like how that the progressives and the anti-establishment people in government right now, people like, Josh Hawley and Marco Rubio, some of those people on the other side were really pushing back. Massey were trying to push back in different ways. I don't agree with these people politically, but they were trying to push back in a sense. Bernie, what he could have done is Bernie could have actually got together with all of these lawmakers, and he could have tried to make a united front to start arguing against a lot of these policies. I felt like if you're only going to get $1,200 in there and this bill is going to be this damn shitty, then you need to get more out of this, Bernie. What we should have seen also is we should see some kind of mask. We should see, okay, you're going to guarantee that you're going to get this many masks out to the population, get them their checks and get them masks. How are we going to deal with some of the site testing? Bernie should be out there trying to get ahead of this and talk to governors and figure out, hey, well, why don't you try to take one of your convention centers, your football field, whatever it may be, and try to make this some kind of centralized testing. This would definitely work in some of the states, which maybe they have one large city and the rest of the state is very rural. That works in those kind of areas. Granted, some of the larger metropolitans that can be a little bit tougher to do, but it can be done. And those are things which I wish Bernie would have tried to push for in there. Personally, I get it. I think Bernie's perspective is people are hurting. And so I just got to take care of these people, no matter how horrible this bill is. Personally, I wish Bernie would have voted against it. Granted, people out there need that $1,200. But the thing about it is, the only way you actually get things done is you use pressure, and you use the pressure that you have. It was still probably going to get passed regardless. And if they would have decided to go an extra step and strip out the measures which Bernie fought to put in there, then that's more evidence you can take to the American people the second time around, because they are going to have to be right back here in Washington. They're on their little 3-week vacation. Okay, a month. They're going to be doing this all over again once all these unemployment rates keep flying up and flying up. Hopefully, they'll get off their asses and go back to Washington when they start seeing things get worse. But if you've actually been paying attention to not only the Trump administration, but just how Congress has worked in general, easily over the past 30 years, everything is reactionary. Everything is wait for it to happen, and then let's try to figure out how to get out of this paper bag that we're stuck in. That's our government's approach. It's never proactive. It's never, well, I see climate change is getting really bad. Well, maybe we should try to take care of these things. No, it's, well, just let everything fall the fuck apart. Let's let everything be horrible, and then let's pay way, 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 way over the amount to fix it because we were too damn stupid to fix it in the first place. I mean, case in point, when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, that's the kind of crap which I used to see all the time down there. They would sit there and watch as traffic gets worse, as they have more crowd in an area. And you know what they do? Nothing. Nothing. They let it get to the point where on one part of town, it gets so bottlenecked that some people just like, you know what, I'm just not even going to go over there for a couple of hours. I'll wait till 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night to go over there because I can't even get through there. This isn't LA. This is Jacksonville, Florida. It's barely over 1 million population in the largest city land-wise. And one part of town is completely clogged up because those idiots there couldn't figure out how to streamline the process. Instead, they waited till it backed all the way up into their laps to try to handle it. That's the same crap that we have going on in our government. They're going to wait until the problem is sitting in their lap to deal with it. But the only time they don't wait on that problem, is when it's rich people. They gave this money to airline industry, gaming industry, cruise line industry. In 2 months, how many of you guys plan on hopping on a plane going somewhere? Some, maybe, but I don't think it's going to be near what they're expecting. How many people are going to go on cruise ships right after this? How many people really want to go to casinos? How many people are, well, maybe I could see movie theaters. People start to trickle back into some of those things. But there are going to be a lot of industries that are just not going to be able to cut it. They're not going to be able to make it. And what's going to happen is, as those people are not able to make it, and then the problem builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, then Congress will be, oh God, what do I do now? Just like Nancy Pelosi does all the time. Everybody who says she's a master negotiator, you got to look at who she's negotiating against to call somebody a master. Now, when she was basically dealing with Paul Ryan in the House and John Boehner, yeah, you look pretty damn smart. You look pretty smart because these are two fucking idiots. Also, when you're going against President George Bush, one of the dumbest presidents I've ever seen or researched, you do look pretty smart when you're going against stupid people. Also, these are stupid people who at least have a little bit of hubris. When they get in trouble or do something bad, they'll be embarrassed about it. That's the only reason why Nancy Pelosi had anything she could do during that last against that administration. The difference, what most people don't understand, most people on the, I guess, center left, and that's what I'm calling moderates, liberals, whatever. That's the center left. I don't consider those people real left. Sorry if that's you. What they don't get is politics as usual. It's not politics are not what you think it was, anymore. After Trump got in, things changed. And in all honesty, there's things which have always just been a certain way, which many of us never understood. Here's something the Democrats do not understand. I mean, most center left don't understand that while you guys are worried about civility, while you guys are worried about decorum, while you guys are worried about, hubris and some of those things like that. The right doesn't care about any of that. None of that's going to matter. None of that's going to matter. So when we're talking about putting a Joe Biden up against that, it's going to be a wash because our people are going to care when Joe Biden lies. Trump's people don't care when he lies at all. And you guys thinking, well, if we could just get enough lies and catch him this and that, it's not going to matter. His people don't care. I don't know why that doesn't click to you people. That his people don't care. Because, and this is why they don't care. They only care about judges. They only care about the Supreme Court. They only care about a handful of issues. Handful of issues. If that person who they put in charge is going to do those handful of issues, they're perfectly fine with it. Our side is the side that has some principles that will say, "Oh, we like your policies, but that being a child molester or rapist stuff's not going to be cool with us." That party doesn't care. You saw with Roy Moore. You saw with Trump. They don't care. I remember, what was it? Larry Craig years ago, Republican who got caught in, and I believe it was a Minneapolis bathroom, soliciting gay sex. He didn't have to resign. Actually, he did resign, but he got no pressure from the Republican Party. None. Because the Republican Party does not care. That's what most center-left people don't understand. They don't care. They don't care. Trump could say whatever he wants. Trump could sit there and say, you know what? Just like he's been saying, Trump could say, you know what? Obama is the one who jacked everything up. That's the reason why I'm having such that's the reason why everything hit the skids for COVID-19. That's the reason why we weren't able to properly fight against it, because Obama basically tripped us up. His people, that is going to work with them. That is going to be a solid argument. No matter how much videos you show them, no matter what you do, you're not changing the way they view it. And so when we say, well, that's jacked up, look at this bailout, you just gave all this money to whatever. They don't care. They don't care. But our side does. Now, when more of our people start to figure out that this Wall Street bailout, which Bernie signed off on, AOC, which I'm gonna talk about AOC too in a minute, and Elizabeth Warren signed off on. You know, they all signed off on this. And what I'm saying is, this isn't going to be something that's going to be looked at good down the road from the Democratic Party. It's just going to be something that's going to muddy the waters, and where they could have been trying to elicit a response for the American people, Nancy Pelosi, when she could have been focusing on that. Instead, she just wrote a tax giveaway to all of her donors. Because it was Tom Pettis, it was Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi's staff who basically brokered all this. Most of the Congress people didn't learn or find out most of what was in this till a few hours before they had to vote. So it was mostly House members who knew most of the nuts and bolts of how everything worked. Bernie, I honestly believe that because he's out there campaigning, he's trying to do the COVID stuff, he probably wasn't very much involved in it. See, he might not even realize how bad of a bill he just voted for. Because make no mistake, all of them do it. They all vote for crap that they've never read, don't have a clue how it's going to come out. Think about it. It's 900 pages. You really think Bernie read that? You think any of them read it? No. On the AOC. Now, AOC, she had her impassioned speech, yes. But she's right there in the House. There's more provisions that she could have put in there, that she could have helped actual people. And also, She's in a safe district. I don't know why she had to vote for that horrible bill. She could have said no to it also. And then the last person that I want to speak about, and Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, of all people, who sat there this whole primary season, tried to pretend like she was a friend of the left. Wouldn't back the left candidate in the primary. Where is she at? I mean, I did criticize Bernie, but at least he said something. I did criticize AOC, but at least she said something. But Warren, who considers herself basically, there's no policy difference between her to Bernie, which that's bullshit. She didn't have anything to say about it. Also, with this whole Tara Reade thing that's going on with Biden, which they're trying to sweep under the rug, she's not saying a word about that either. When she sat there talking about believe women, she always trusts women. But yet, when a woman is speaking, she's kind of silent. A woman who has an issue, she's silent at this point. My thing is, overall, I guess my final thought on this whole terrible Wall Street bailout and stimulus is it was a big wet kiss to the ultra wealthy and a big middle finger to you and me. Yeah, we might get something out of it in the end, but make no mistake, it was a big fuck you to all of us. Thank you. Hope you enjoy.